In order for tutors to sustain themselves in the tutoring business, it is vital for them to hold their students long term. So in today's video, we will be talking about what are the 5 signs that shows that the student is going to stop tuition soon and what we can do about it. Stay tuned. Sign is that they are not interested in the subject. How can we tell that they are not interested? We can see that they are showing difficulty in focusing on the subject. At the same time, they are consistently making negative comments about the subject. They will give many excuses why they find it difficult, that they are not interested or they are tired about it. At the same time, they are hesitant to participate in the subject. Whenever we try to ask some questions, they are quite reluctant to participate. So what can tutors do in this instance in order to help them to be at least more interested in the subject? Well, it is vital for them to remain positive and encouraging. After all, the parents at the end of the day, they feel that the student needs tuition. That's why they ask for the tutor's assistance to help them. That's why parents find that they need tuition in the first place. So the other thing is that it is quite obvious, can we make the lesson more interesting for the student, and can we help the students to enjoy the time that they have with us as tutors? And it is also vital that we don't take it personally. Sometimes they can use some words that can hurt our feelings. So this is just a work. So it is vital for us to not take it personally and be professional about it, and to help the student to find what are the benefits long term if they keep on doing well with this subject. So we may relate to them when they grow. So especially when they grow up, they are doing some sort of work in their secular work. So how can this subject will be able to help them? For example, it could be math, it could be science. So how can this subject help them when they are in the adult world? It is also important to be a good listener and try to listen to them. Probably there is some obstacles along the way in their, or psychological obstacles in their mind that tutors need to be aware of and to help them to overcome. So positivity is the key. And the second sign that the student is going to stop tuition soon is boredom. So they find it really boring. They can even express it to you, and sometimes they will just fall asleep halfway into the lesson. I can imagine I have this experience with a kid one time. I think the kid was about 6 years old, in about year 1, and I was helping him with English. And within the first 5 or 6 minutes into the lesson, not even 10 minutes into the lesson, he would just fall asleep. So I have to try various ways in order to help him to keep up with the lesson. So what can tutors do? They can try to play a bit of games, and they can try to draw pictures, because they are more attracted, or students are more attracted to things that are visual. Besides using pictures, they can try to listen to them, and especially when the child can sense the patience that the tutor is showing to the child will appreciate it. And it is also good to be able to start with the soft approach and try to listen to them and try to accommodate their needs. Then as time goes by, we may need to move further into the then we can try to be firmer in our approach to help the student, and persistence really pays in due time. So what is something that we shouldn't do? We shouldn't call the parents and complain about it, because after all, they are relying on us as tutors to be able to handle their child. So it's important to work with the child and try to solve it between the tutor and the student. Whenever the child tries to give a positive comment or something which is commendable, the tutor can commend them and give them encouragement, so that they will give them a lift on being more interested in the subject and try to get them to be less bored. When gets easily bored, it is good to use at least 3 or more workbooks. So once we use one workbook, and then afterwards we might go through half or one chapter of the workbook, and then later the student might find that quite boring, and then it's good to switch to another workbook and try to keep on working on it, on that particular subject. And then if the student find after some time that it's quite boring again, then we can switch to another workbook. So I find that workbooks that contains lots of pictures and illustration can really help them to be more interested in the subject. Yeah, it takes a lot of patience, it takes time to motivate them, and we can try different things. They are very imaginative. We can try to role play, we can try to act out something if it is an English lesson, and we can try to use our imagination. Sometimes, yeah, we can try to act out a role and make the lesson more interesting. So the third one is that when the student is not showing progress, we might be studying with the student for 6 months, 9 months, 1 year or more, and then every time when the exam finishes and the student gets the result, we notice that the student is not doing that well, there's no progress, or worse still, it is going backwards. So that is quite a worrying trend. So what can we do in order to improve the situation? Well, first we can try to analyze our lesson plan. What are things that we can do in order to improve our lesson? From the exam results, we will be able to pick up what are some of the weaknesses that the student have and how we can concentrate more on tackling those weaknesses. So that is something for us to consider. About the homework that they are getting, should we increase a bit of homework in order to help them to practice more? You can merely the fact that the student actually is just careless, so they are careless, and then they actually know the answer to the test questions, but because they are careless, they got it wrong. So sometimes this is unavoidable. And another common mistake made by students is that they keep on forgetting what they have learned, especially with mathematics. So after when they get lots of practice, they have learned all that needs to be learned, but during the exam time they just get it wrong. So it can be suggested that in this case we can try to give them plenty of practice, test question, workbooks, so that they can be able to remember those different formulas, and they are able to use it at the right time during the exam. One thing that we try to avoid doing is that we avoid blaming on the students, especially when the parents ask how are their student doing, how are their kid doing. So we can try to convince the parents about our lesson plans for now, what are some of the steps needs to be taken in order to help the student to improve, and then we have to be confident to convince the parents that what are the strategies and lesson plans that we are going to be using, so that it's able to help the student to progress further. So if we show a confident disposition, for sure the parents will continue to be confident with us and to allow us to continue to encourage and to motivate their child. So the fourth sign that a child is going to stop tuition soon is that they keep cancelling. So why do they keep cancelling? Due to overscheduling, it could be that they are just too tired, or they just have other priorities. So if they keep on cancel, what can tutors do in order to improve this situation? So what tutors can do is that they can try to check with the parents and ask them, probably it's better to change another schedule that is more suitable for the student. Or simply, this is just an indication to the tutor that he or she needs to start finding new students, because if this pattern keeps on going, then obviously they are going to stop tuition soon. And the fifth sign is that they are getting more and more independent. So especially when the tutor is not being used when he or she is there, and the student keep on being able to do his own research and his own assignments with minimum help from the tutor, and the student is progressing, getting good results. So this is indication that shows that the student is getting better, he's able to work along on his own, and he doesn't need a tutor anymore. So when a tutor sees that, and that is a sign that it is a good sign that the student is progressing. So if this is happening, then it is time for the tutor to move on and find new students and to encourage other ones that are weak in their subjects. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and please comment below, and please subscribe if you have not yet subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video.